8 rounds was respectable. Death's cold grip is unescapable. A festering ring encroaches upon you. Suddenly. Ruin reaches for you. Lurks within you. Remains unrealized. Be a second, not rare is the breath of living air. Death's cold grip is inescapable. unescapable. Relentless assault. Confront that which you release. Lightning lurks within you. Our festering rage crouches on be torn to shreds. The blood-soaked ground turns. A hateful breath will seal your breath. Amiga turnaround.
We are devoured. Why not throw chaos within chaos?
Your life will end and you will be forgotten.
Hello. I'm using a pretty unique build idea for this league. I'm using the Doryani's touch skill, which literally nobody else is using in the entire league. And I have a pretty creative strategy that involves using Battle Mage's Cry to convert all of my spell damage to increased attack damage. And then in my other offhand, I have a Wrathpith Globe, which increases spell damage based on maximum life, but sacrifices life every time I cast spells. As long as I'm just using an attack, that doesn't come into play. For non-bosses, I can just keep using Red Blade Banner. My War Cries will have 250% cooldown recovery speed, which means they're very spammable. And with Petrified Blood, reducing my life to half of its amount, it means that if I am recovering life using the 15% every time you use a War Cry, it looks like 30%. Rather, the effective amount of health that I regenerate is 30%, because my maximum amount is only 50% of the maximum life. Did that make sense? Anyway, the core of the build is Doryani's Fist, so that you can use the weapon. Rigwald's Curse, so that it can crit. This has a crit modifier on it, meaning that it's providing 8.12% base crit chance instead of the normal 7%. Interestingly enough, I don't think anyone else has figured out that you can give this crit quality, so now you know. I'm using Supreme Ostentation to ignore attribute requirements on all of my gear and gems, so that I don't have to invest in any attributes, so I can use all of my attribute notables on Warcry cooldown. Aside from that, just got some life, stacking endurance charges so that Enduring Cry is very powerful. The Enduring Cry buff lasts for longer than its cooldown time, so as long as you're continuing to spam War Cries, which is generally what you're doing, you will never not be under its influence. Same with Battle Mage's Cry. And I'm using the Impossible Escape Jewel to anoint these notables from Elegant Hubris without them being connected to the tree. These 4 are all increased spell damage. This one's just cold resistance. I also get this one. You can also use an anointment to get one of these. This is actually the wrong one, but I didn't really have time to, the currency to change it. So this should be anointing this instead. But I was using a different Elegant Hubris where this was a better node. This makes War Cries give me Onslaught, War Cries Intimidate, and 41% increased War Cry buff effect from this means that enemies are taking 41 increased buff effect for War Cries means that instead of 150% of their original value, I'm making increases and reductions to spell damage applied to attacks at 211% of their original value. That could be increased further with the correct Searing Exarch implicit on the body armor and on a pair of boots, but I don't yet have the correct implicits on those. See, I have mana recovery rate. That's just completely wrong because I have no mana. Rings just give lightning damage to attacks, life, and resistances. Helmet is just the Brine Crown, which gives a chunk of armor. Calm's roots on the boots. These are kind of just whatever I could find on a budget. They could definitely be improved. This could be a Ralakesh's Impatience. This could be Echoes of Creation. But the problem with Echoes of Creation is that it will take too much damage every time you use your skills unless you have a sufficient amount of physical damage reduction. Using a Darkness Enthroned belt with these Murderous-Eye Jewels, which give life, resistances, and added lightning damage to attacks. And those Murderous-Eye Jewels make it so that I can use Tekrod's Gaze for up to 200% increased main hand critical strike chance, which is providing currently about 15% more damage to the build. Using blood magic. Blah. I'm gonna need to cut this in editing. So for passives, I have the 80% spell damage notable from Elegant Hubris 4 times. I've also got Cold Res. This is the wrong anointment. This shouldn't be here. It should be this one. And I've just got a bunch of life. Convert all of these to Warcry cooldown rate because I do not need strength because of the Supreme Ostentation. The new Parandus Pact is giving me a total of 76% chaos resistance when I put it here. I'm immune to bleed, got more life, I have increased Warcry speed, and an additional Warcry amount and buff effect. This increases my life reservation efficiency, which I need to reserve these auras. Finally, I just have some melee crit. That's basically the build.